somebody who's worked in industry,
Yes.
and also as a Christian, what is your view on environmentalism?
Well, I think it's a very important part. In fact, I don't think you can work in the chemical industry without being an environmental person as you think about ensuring that what you're doing, you're creating resources, using resources, but you don't want to damage other resources. For example, when you are mining phosphate, you don't want to damage associated waterways or the air. So you want to be a good steward of other resources while taking the resource of phosphate and turning it into resources needed for human flourishing. One of the experiences I had working in a very large complex with phosphate is trying to work with two other groups, regulators and environmental interest groups, to come up with a plan to reduce phosphorus discharges to waterways. And that was an interesting experience because there was no trust between those different groups. But I found from experience you could get down and work together. We were able to come up with a solution that everybody could buy into and we could implement, and it was very successful. And so often the polarization over environmental affairs, if we can replace it with cooperation, if you will, working together to come up with solutions, you can make progress and improve our stewardship of the environment.
Do you feel that your faith as a Christian motivated you in those kind of projects, maybe in a way that someone who wasn't a Christian might be motivated?
Well, I think that to a certain extent, my faith made me want to do my job well. And also, I wanted to treat the people I worked with, even if we were somewhat adversaries, to treat them with respect. And so working together with people that could potentially be seen as adversaries, we can cooperate, work together, come up with solutions. And I think, and of course, this was a very large project, and I was just one person in that project. I had a pretty important role as senior environmental engineer, but there were a lot of other people, and like even my supervisor would share my convictions. And so I think having a Christian perspective certainly helped. It was a lot of people involved. But
now, where does this idea that Christians don't care about the environment come from?
That's a very good question. And you have to go back about 50 years. A historian, Lynn White, published a very provocative paper entitled The Historical Roots of Our Ecological Crisis. And his thesis was that modern science came out of a Christian worldview, which is true, but another part of that Christian worldview is we are to have dominion over the creation and therefore use it for our own benefit and not worry about the consequences. Well, that is not a correct view of Christian stewardship of the environment. And fortunately, Francis Schaeffer, a great Christian thinker, wrote a response to that entitled Pollution and the Death of Man, which is, I'd say, recommended reading for any Christian who's thinking about environmental issues. And he makes the point that, yes, we are given dominion, but it's not dominion as rulers, it's dominion as stewards. We've been given the responsibility by God to take care of the earth and all of the life on it. And so we should be seen as taking the lead in being good stewards of the environment and of the resources on the earth.